The shuttle vibrated as it powered through the storm of gravitational anomalies surrounding the Singularity Vault. Metallic groans echoed through the cramped cabin, punctuated by the occasional burst of static from the comms. Lieutenant Kara Drayson kept her eyes on the viewport, where fractured space glimmered like shards of a shattered mirror. "Relax, Jax," she said, her voice steady despite the tension crackling in the air. "It's just a job." Behind her, Jax snorted. The demolition expert was leaning back in his harness, fidgeting with a thermal detonator. "A job? You mean a death sentence wrapped in fancy Empire language?" "We all volunteered," Mira muttered. She was perched next to the shuttle's diagnostic console, her fingers tapping nervously against her data pad. The young engineer's wide eyes darted between the holographic readouts. "Doesn't mean I want to die for it." "Enough chatter," Kara snapped, turning to face them. "Focus. We've got a job to do, and whining isn't part of the mission brief." The disembodied voice of Overseer Virichthal crackled over the comms. His tone carried the clipped arrogance of someone used to command and disdain. "Human crew, prepare for entry. You have one objective: secure preliminary data from the artifact and ensure its stability until our elite units arrive. Anything less will be unacceptable." Kara smirked, tapping her earpiece. "Don't worry, Overseer. We'll clean up your mess. Try not to choke on your own smugness while we're gone." The line went dead. Donovan, the oldest member of the team, chuckled. His gravelly voice carried a hint of amusement. "Careful, Lieutenant. Keep poking the Xanathi, and they might send us on an even worse mission." "Can't be worse than this," Jax muttered, securing his gear. The shuttle lurched as it breached the vault's outer edge, the chaotic void giving way to an eerie stillness. The swirling black mass outside seemed to pulsate, as though the vault itself were alive. Kara's grip tightened on the edge of her seat. "We're in," Mira said, her voice barely above a whisper. The shuttle's interior lights dimmed as the craft's AI adjusted to the vault's unstable power fields. A low hum filled the cabin, punctuated by bursts of static interference. "Systems are holding," Mira reported. "Barely. Barely's good enough," Kara said, unstrapping herself. "Jax, Donovan with me. Mira, keep the shuttle ready for extraction. We're not sticking around longer than necessary." "Copy that," Mira said, though her voice betrayed her nerves. As the shuttle's ramp descended, the team stepped into the vault. The air, or whatever passed for it, felt heavy, as though the space itself pressed down on them. Jagged debris from ancient starships floated in frozen chaos, a graveyard of technological ambition gone awry. "Stay sharp," Kara said, her voice low. The team moved cautiously, their boots clinking against fragments of broken hulls. The faint glow of their headlamps barely pierced the surrounding darkness. Jax scanned their surroundings, his fingers twitching near the trigger of his plasma rifle. "What kind of idiot builds a weapon here?" he asked. "The kind who doesn't care about survival," Donovan replied. A sudden beep from Mira's comm unit broke the silence. "Lieutenant, I'm picking up a signal. It's weak, but it's coming from up ahead." "Coordinates?" "Sending now." A waypoint blinked onto their visors, guiding them deeper into the labyrinth. The path was treacherous, littered with jagged edges and unstable platforms. Kara led the way, her every step calculated but confident. The signal led them to a derelict probe, its surface scorched and its markings barely legible. A faint blue glow pulsed from its core. "Empire tech," Donovan said, kneeling to examine it. "Old, but functional." Kara motioned for Mira to patch in remotely. "Can you pull anything useful?" "Give me a second." "There." The probe emitted a distorted transmission, fragments of a robotic voice garbled by time and damage. "Coordinates, artifact, anomaly, danger, terminated." Jax frowned. "That's not ominous at all." Before Kara could respond, the faint whir of machinery echoed through the space. A red glow flickered in the distance, followed by another and another. "AI patrol," Donovan growled, readying his weapon. "Positions!" Kara barked. The rogue AI moved fast, their spindly frames slicing through the debris with lethal precision. Kara fired the first shot, her plasma cutter searing through the lead unit. Jax followed with a well-placed thermal charge, the explosion lighting up the darkness. Donovan's steady aim picked off another, but the remaining units adapted, weaving through their attacks. "Mira, can you jam them?" Kara shouted, ducking behind a broken panel. "Working on it," came the frantic reply. The team held their ground, each member covering the others. Kara's sharp commands kept them coordinated, even as the AI closed in. Just as another unit lunged toward Jax, its movements froze mid-air, limbs twitching erratically. "Got it!" Mira's voice was triumphant. "They're down, but it won't last." "Then we move," Kara ordered. The team regrouped around the probe. Donovan quickly extracted its core, securing the partial coordinates. "Let's hope this thing's worth it," Jax said, wiping sweat from his brow. "It is," Kara replied. "And if it's not, we'll make it worth it." As they made their way back toward the shuttle, Kara couldn't shake the feeling that the vault was watching them. The oppressive silence seemed to deepen, broken only by their footsteps and the occasional hiss of static. When they reached the ramp, Mira was waiting, her face pale but determined. "Everything okay?" "Define okay," Jax muttered, stepping aboard. Kara placed a hand on Mira's shoulder. "You did good. Get us prepped for takeoff. We've got a long way to go." As the shuttle lifted off, Kara glanced back at the swirling chaos of the vault. This was only the beginning, but she couldn't let the doubt show. Her team was counting on her, and failure wasn't an option. "Next stop," she said, more to herself than anyone else. "The artifact." The shuttle vanished into the darkness, leaving the vault to its silent, malevolent secrets. The shuttle's thrusters roared as it maneuvered deeper into the Singularity Vault. Outside, the swirling black void shifted erratically, as though the space itself were alive and agitated by their presence. Kara stood near the viewport, her gaze fixed on the distorted horizon where time seemed to ripple unnaturally. "Diagnostics are struggling," Mira said from the console, her fingers flying across the controls. "The vault's gravitational distortions are stronger here. If we push too far, the shuttle might not hold together." Jax, seated nearby, gave a low whistle. "Great. So, we're officially flying inside a cosmic blender." Kara turned, her voice cutting through the tension. "We're not flying blind. Mira, focus on the coordinates. Jax, stop giving the universe ideas." The team chuckled weakly, but the humor did little to mask the unease settling over them. As the shuttle reached the designated coordinates, it slowed, hovering just above a jagged platform suspended in the void. Kara secured her harness and grabbed her gear. "Donovan, Jax, with me? Mira, keep the engines warm. We're on borrowed time here." Mira nodded, though her worried expression lingered. "Be careful. Whatever's out there, it's not just rogue AI. Something feels wrong. That's why we're here," Kara replied, strapping her plasma cutter to her side. The ramp lowered, revealing a chaotic landscape littered with broken starship fragments and faintly glowing structures. The air shimmered unnaturally, like heat waves on a desert horizon. The team disembarked cautiously, their boots crunching against shards of metallic debris. "Place gives me the creeps," Jax muttered, scanning their surroundings with his rifle. "You're not alone," Donovan replied, his grizzled voice low. They moved toward the waypoint displayed on their visors, their steps measured and deliberate. As they approached a jagged outcropping, Kara raised a hand to signal a halt. A faint humming noise grew louder, echoing through the stillness. "What is that?" Jax whispered. Kara knelt, studying the terrain ahead. Embedded in the ground was a large, pulsating sphere of energy, its surface rippling with arcs of blue and violet light. "That's not on the map," Donovan said, his grip tightening on his weapon. "It's a stabilizer." Mira's voice crackled through their comms. "Old Xanathi tech, designed to regulate time distortions. But it's unstable." "Can we go around it?" Kara asked. Mira hesitated. "No. It's directly in your path, and if it collapses, it could trigger a temporal cascade. You'll have to deactivate it safely." "Safely?" Jax repeated, rolling his eyes. Sure. Easy as pie. Kara stepped forward, gesturing for the others to cover her. Mira, guide me through this. As Mira relayed instructions, Kara worked quickly, her hands deftly adjusting the stabilizer's controls. Each adjustment sent a ripple through the air, distorting their vision momentarily. Almost there, Mira said. Just careful. Don't. A sudden flash of light erupted from the stabilizer, and the world twisted violently. Kara stumbled, her vision blurring as time itself seemed to fracture. Voices overlapped, disjointed and distant. Kara! She blinked, forcing herself to focus. The distortion settled, and she found herself on her knees, breathing heavily. The stabilizer was quiet now, its energy field reduced to a faint glow. Lieutenant, you okay? Donovan asked, helping her to her feet. Fine, she said, though her voice was strained. Let's keep moving. As they pressed forward, the terrain grew more unstable. Pieces of debris floated in midair, shifting unpredictably. Time distortions flickered around them, creating brief, ghostly images of the past, battles fought and lost, ships exploding in fiery arcs. What is this place? Jax murmured, staring at a phantom image of a Xanathi warship disintegrating. A graveyard, Donovan replied grimly. Kara's calm crackled with static, then Mira's voice cut through. I'm picking up something strange. There's a hidden structure near your location. It might have information on the artifact's exact position. Coordinates? Kara asked. Sending now. The waypoint appeared on their visors, leading them to a large, partially intact Xanathi outpost. Its metallic walls glinted dully under the vault's eerie light. Looks abandoned, Donovan said. Looks can kill, Jax countered. Kara motioned for silence as they approached. The entrance was sealed, but Mira remotely bypassed the locks, and the door slid open with a hiss. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of rust and decay. The team moved cautiously through dimly lit corridors, their weapons at the ready. The walls were lined with faded Xanathi markings, and shattered consoles littered the floor. Kara's visor alerted her to an active terminal in a nearby room. This way. The terminal flickered weakly as she activated it. Lines of Xanathi script scrolled across the screen, which Mira translated in real time. It's a log, Mira said. Looks like this outpost was monitoring the artifact before it went rogue. They tried to stabilize it but failed. Anything about Virik? Kara asked. Hold on. Mira's voice trailed off, then returned, sharp. Yes. There's a secondary file. It says the Overseer knew the artifact couldn't be stabilized without triggering a collapse. He planned to send in disposable teams to mitigate the risks. Disposable? Jax spat. That bastard! Kara's jaw tightened. We're not disposable. We finished the mission on our terms. A sudden noise echoed through the corridors, a mechanical scraping sound that sent shivers down their spines. Rogue AI, Donovan said, his weapon raised. Move! Kara ordered. The team sprinted back toward the entrance as the sound grew louder. A hulking AI unit emerged from the shadows, its red eyes glowing menacingly. Jax fired first, his plasma rifle lighting up the dark hallway. The AI shrugged off the attack, advancing with deadly precision. Donovan, cover me! Kara shouted, ducking behind a console. Donovan unleashed a barrage of suppressive fire while Kara activated an old Xanathi defense turret. The turret whirred to life, its lasers cutting through the AI's armor. Jax lobbed a thermal detonator, the explosion reducing the AI to a smoking heap of parts. Nice work, Kara said, catching her breath. Let's get out of here before more show up. The team regrouped at the shuttle, battered but alive. As they lifted off, Kara's mind raced. Virik's betrayal was clear now, but so were the stakes. Mira, she said, her voice steady despite the turmoil. Plot the next set of coordinates. We're finishing this. The shuttle disappeared into the swirling chaos, leaving the fractured outposts behind. The shuttle hurtled toward the artifact's location, its engines straining against the vault's turbulent gravitational forces. Every second felt stretched, each jolt of turbulence amplified by the oppressive tension in the cabin. "This is it," Kara said, her voice cutting through the hum of the engines. She tightened her harness and glanced at her team. "We go in, secure the data, and get out. No detours." Jax nodded, his expression grim. "And if that thing goes wild? Then we improvise," Kara replied. The shuttle's proximity alert chimed. Mira's fingers flew over the controls, her brow furrowed. "We're closing in. The gravitational anomalies here are off the charts. The artifact's energy is distorting everything, time, space, even the ship's systems. I'll keep us steady, but I can't promise miracles." "You're doing great, Mira," Donovan said, his tone calm despite the unease in his eyes. "Just keep us in one piece." The shuttle slowed as it reached the artifact's coordinates. Through the viewport, the team saw it, a massive, pulsating sphere suspended in a swirling void. Its surface shimmered with cascading hues of blue, violet, and gold, like a living storm of light and energy. The sphere's chaotic movements suggested both immense power and the barely contained threat of collapse. "By the stars," Jax whispered, his usual bravado replaced by awe. Kara's voice was firm. "Focus. We're not here to admire it." Mira tapped her console. "I've locked onto the artifact's core energy signature. There's a small access point at the base. You'll need to connect the data module there to extract anything useful." "Understood," Kara said, grabbing her gear. "Let's move." The ramp lowered, revealing a jagged platform leading to the artifact. The team disembarked, their movements cautious as they navigated the unstable terrain. The air felt heavy, charged with static that prickled against their skin. "Stay close," Kara ordered. As they approached the artifact, its energy pulsed, sending ripples through the ground beneath their feet. Jax flinched. "It's like it knows we're here." "Maybe it does," Donovan said, his tone grim. Kara ignored the unease bubbling in her chest. "Mira, guide me to the access point." A holographic marker appeared on her visor, leading her to a small, glowing panel embedded in the artifact's surface. She knelt, pulling out the data module. "Plugging in now," she said, her voice steady. The moment the module connected, the artifact reacted violently. A surge of energy erupted, sending shockwaves through the platform. Kara braced herself, gritting her teeth against the force. "Mira!" she shouted. "I'm stabilizing the connection." Mira's voice crackled through the comms. "Just hold on." The artifact's surface shifted, revealing intricate patterns of light and glyphs. Data streamed into the module, chaotic and fragmented. "I'm getting something," Mira said. "It's oh no." "What?" Kara demanded. "The artifact isn't just unstable, it's sentient. And it's fighting us." The platform trembled as a new threat emerged. Tendrils of energy shot out from the artifact, lashing at the team. "Defensive positions!" Kara barked. Jax fired at the tendrils, his plasma rifle searing through the energy constructs. Donovan joined in, his steady aim providing cover as Kara worked. "It's adapting!" Jax shouted as the tendrils reformed, moving faster and more aggressively. "Kara, you need to disengage!" Mira's voice was frantic. "Not yet!" Kara snapped. She forced the module to continue extracting data, ignoring the chaos around her. One of the tendrils struck the ground near Donovan, sending him sprawling. Jax pulled him up, grunting as another tendril barely missed him. "Kara, we can't hold this much longer!" Jax yelled. "Almost there!" Kara's hands flew over the controls, her focus unyielding. The module beeped, signaling the data transfer was complete. "Got it!" she shouted, yanking the module free. The artifact reacted violently, its energy intensifying in a blinding surge. The ground cracked beneath them, pieces of the platform breaking away into the void. "Back to the shuttle! Now!" Kara ordered. The team sprinted, dodging collapsing debris and lashing tendrils. Jax covered their retreat, his rifle blazing until the last moment. They stumbled onto the shuttle's ramp as Mira lifted off, the engines roaring to life. "Punch it, Mira!" Kara shouted, gripping the edge of a seat as the shuttle rocketed away. The artifact's energy flared, sending shockwaves rippling through the void. The shuttle shook violently, alarms blaring as Mira fought to keep them steady. "Brace yourselves!" she yelled. The shockwave hit, tossing the shuttle like a toy in a storm. Sparks flew from the consoles, and the lights flickered. "Mira!" Kara shouted. "I'm holding it together!" Mira replied, her voice strained. The shuttle surged forward, finally breaking free of the artifact's energy field. The turbulence subsided, leaving the crew battered but alive. Kara slumped into her seat, clutching the data module. "Status? Engines are functional," Mira said, though she looked exhausted. "We're clear." Donovan exhaled heavily. "That was too close." Jax chuckled weakly, leaning back in his seat. "Remind me to never sign up for another simple mission." Kara managed a faint smile, though her mind was racing. She held up the module. "Mira, analyze this. We need to know what we're dealing with before we report back." As Mira plugged the module into the shuttle's console, the screen filled with intricate patterns and streams of data. Her eyes widened as she deciphered the information. "It's worse than we thought," she said. "The artifact isn't just sentient, it's evolving. It's learning, adapting. If the Empire activates it, it could destabilize entire systems." Kara's jaw tightened. "Then we make sure they never get the chance." The team sat in silence, the weight of their mission settling over them. The shuttle disappeared into the void, carrying with it the seeds of rebellion, and the hope that humanity's audacity might just save the galaxy.